Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be speaking about my whole C-section birth process and how I found out I was going to have a C-section, and basically the healing process and everything that went on, as well as the cost if you don't have medical aid for a C-section. So if you're interested in knowing about my whole birth story, then please keep on watching. So, yeah, you're gonna see him in my arms the whole time because he just woke up and I fed him, and I'm just trying to make him sleep. But I also wanted to get this video out because I don't really have time during this long weekend, because I just have assignments and all of those things. So yeah, you will see him here, but I will put him down hopefully just now when he's fast asleep. But anyway, um the whole story about me having a C-section was something I did not plan. Like in my head, I just knew like I was gonna be the person to have a natural birth and everything was gonna go smoothly, and I'd wake up one day and my water would break, and or I'd get pains, whatever. I was always picturing that, like from 36 weeks of being pregnant. So when I went to my gynecologist for my weekly checkup, I think it was like 37 weeks and 4 days, and I went in and I was like feeling off. I wasn't feeling okay that morning. I don't know why. Like I just had like a weird feeling, and I was like preparing myself for some news for some reason. It's just so weird how certain things just play out. So anyway, I had that feeling that something was gonna happen, and I went with my mom and oh, sorry. I went with my mom to the gynae, and then he did the normal scan, 4D scan. We checked in baby. He was hiding his face as usual, whatever. And he said no, he has dropped and stuff, and then he will obviously do, and he wants to do an internal examination. So when my gynae said he wants to do an internal examination, I didn't even like think. I think I was like in such a dwell. I didn't even like think about what that was. So then my mom's like, okay, I'll help you take your pants out, and I'm like, take my pants out for what? And then yeah, and then I'm like, oh, is he gonna like check internally? Like, is he gonna, you know, like what is he gonna shove up there? And I was so shocked, and I just was not expecting that, and I was not ready. Luckily, I always have been shaving throughout the whole pregnancy because I knew that if anything must happen, then obviously I'm clean down there and I'm okay. Um, so yeah, I was like, okay, now I'm feeling a bit awkward, but I'm like, anyway, this man's gonna deliver my baby, so he's going to see my vagina one way or another. So anyway, my mom was there. She helped me take my pants or whatever, and I had to lay down. And then you obviously have to like spread your legs apart like you are giving birth. And then he put his glove on, and he put lube on his glove, and then he put his hand in there, and I was like, it was, oh my god, it was so uncomfortable. It was so unexpected. It was the most horrible feeling ever. He checked, and he was like moving his hand like this inside, and I was like, oh, my eyes were like shut tight, and I was like in pain. I was so like really really much in pain. It was so bad, and it was just so bad, and it was just uncomfortable, and something I obviously never expected to happen on that day or planned to happen on that day. So I wasn't prepared, and I was just so, oh, just disgusted basically. Anyway, he did that, and then he's like, okay, so your pelvis seems to be very closed, and I don't know if you'll be able to deliver naturally, so I'm gonna schedule a C-section for you next week. And I'm like, what? I was like, I didn't, I was like trying to process everything, and then he said just go to the receptionist, and then obviously, I have to change my uh, birthing plan from natural to Caesar and whatever, and I had to go and chat to her. So I put my pants on, and I was still trying to process everything, and I'm just like, why is my pelvis area so small? I wasn't sure. Maybe it's because like obviously I wasn't sexually active maybe during my pregnancy, or maybe it was because I don't know like what I wasn't doing, but I was so active, like physically, like going to the mall, walking around, going to work with these stairs. um I was like very active. I wasn't lazy. I was keeping myself like very much, I was preparing my body for natural birth. I was like never just sitting and watching movies or TV. I was always like on the ball and on the move. So it was so disappointing, and then I was like, ugh, I should have just chilled the whole time. And why did I bother, like exercising and walking around and being active all the time in the house, rather than just laying there and just because I'm gonna have a Caesar now, it's like no point. But yeah, I was so upset at myself, and I was blaming myself. I'm like, what did I do wrong that I can't deliver naturally? And I was just upset because it's like you plan something in your head, and now you're just gonna be doing the total opposite. And I was also upset because I do not have medical aid, and obviously paying cash for this whole operation, this birth basically, and Caesar was a lot of money. It was a lot of money financially. It was really, really a lot of money. Um, yeah, so I'm just glad that I'm like debt free and not owing anybody anything. But yeah, it was a lot. I was not prepared to be spending so much, for a birth. In total, it honestly costed about, I would say, 75,000 rand. Yeah, including your gynecologist fee, which was going to be the same whether it was natural or Caesar, that was the same amount. And I think the hospital was just very much more. The hospital was for a natural birth around 21,000, and for a cesarean it was like 36,000. So it was very much expensive, and obviously I paid for natural, so I had to go. And then I went to the receptionist after he told me that. I had to fill in the forms and then go to the hospital, pay that balance out, and then there was another person I had to pay, which I didn't need if I had a natural birth, was the anesthesiologist, which is the person that basically injects you so that you're numb from your like hip down for the Caesar to be done. So yeah, but you're awake from like the top, but like it is called a spinal C-section that I had. So that person just for that injection was 5,500 rand. And then yeah, it was a lot more, like including bloods and stuff that you pay. And then when the baby is born, you have to pay a pediatrician, which was also 4,700 rand. And then so that they check him. And what else did I have to pay for? It was a lot. I think we now, oh, we had to pay for basically the each week's gynecologist fees and checkups, the scans, whatever. That was 1,500 per time. So yeah, it was super expensive, and it was just a lot. So in total, I would say that the birth costed 75,000 rand. Um, but yeah, regardless of that, I'm just happy to have a healthy and happy baby at home with me now. Um, and that I'm doing good. So anyway, back to the story. I just very get drifted. I'm getting drifted. Um, yeah, like I said, I went to the receptionist, and then she said I need to pay the anesthesiologist. I need to go and book him at the hospital, and then I need to pay the hospital the balance of the fees and book my bed, and then I need to it was just like a whole list of things like to do. So after leaving there, and I had the list, and my mom was gonna take me to the hospital to go and obviously get everything booked and whatnot. I was just crying. I just started crying in the car nonstop, and I'm like, I know he's gonna be here next week, but I'm also like, I just wanted it to happen naturally and happen like obviously like when it was meant to be. And like I just feel like this is just so planned and so forced, and I just didn't want it. So it was hard accepting it, and I was crying and crying and getting like stressed out, and I was just crying the whole time. And my mom was like, "Don't cry because obviously you're gonna stress the baby and all of those things." And it's so weird, like, because then, like, when you cry and stuff when you're pregnant, you can actually feel them moving in you and kicking you, and like it's so comforting because it's like they're inside you and just rubbing their leg on you and being like, it's gonna be okay. So I think that got me through it, and I stopped crying eventually. um I just want to put him down because I don't want his neck to be sore, his body to be sore. So anyway, I get to the hospital, and my mom was helping me. I was filling in forms and whatever. And then the lady, that was the receptionist, saw that I was crying while filling in the forms. And then, like she said, I mustn't worry. And then that she had a C-section from the same gynecologist that was going to be doing my C-section. And she said he's very good, and nothing really will happen bad, and there's no even scar that she has. And it was quick and easy, and it's not as bad as you think it is. but I just couldn't handle it. I was like just thinking about like that pain and like how am I gonna manage to like actually like take care of my baby while having a big cut on my bikini area. Um, so yeah, it was just hard for me to accept. I was just having a very hard time accepting it, and like it was just not okay. um, so yeah, I was after she told me that I was okay, and I just like wiped my tears, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I have no choice basically but to do it. And then I came home and I was okay and processing it, and then that was it. And then I think it was the Tuesday, yeah. I had to stop eating on the Monday before I go for the C-section at 10 o'clock at night, and then I woke up at like 3 in the morning. I woke up at like 3 in the morning, and I had to get ready and whatever. I showered, make sure I have everything, and yeah, I showered. I made sure I had everything packed and ready, and then my dad fetched me around 4:15, and I was at the hospital by 5 in the morning. And I was supposed to be there at 5. They said I should be there at 5. Had to fill in more forms when I got there. Um, then when you get there, they check your blood pressure and whatever. So you sign in at reception, and then they tell you where to go. I went to the maternity ward. They booked me in. They told me which room I need to be in, and lucky I had a private room. It was just me because the rest were actually where two people share, and I'm like, who the hell's paying 75,000 to be sharing a room with somebody? No way. So yeah, there were some rooms that had two beds, which I was like, no way. But luckily, they told me I'm in room 4. I was in room 4, and I was alone, had my own bathroom, it was just private, and I really did appreciate that no one was sharing with me. And yeah, then the nurse came in, then they put the blood pressure thing, then they tell you take out all your clothes, and then you obviously wear that gown that's just open, so you have nothing on, no underwear, like nothing, completely naked with just that gown. And then you sit on the bed, and then she just did like a finger prick, I think, to check my sugar or something. And then she put the blood pressure thing on my finger. That's why you're not allowed to have any nails. um, yeah, so then they put the blood pressure thing on me. That was hooked up. They injected me like here on my hand by the veins for like drips. I think it was 2 drips if I'm not mistaken. Put the drips in, and then she's like, okay, now I'm gonna put the catheter. And I'm like, huh, that was the not fun part, because she like lifted that dress thingy up, and then she was just wiping me with the cotton wool, and I was also very uncomfortable, and I was like actually screaming. I was like, oh no. And then she's like, no, I didn't insert it, I'm just wiping you. And I'm like, but she was wiping me so hard, it was not feeling good at all. um and then they insert the catheter in. It was a bit painful, I'm not going to lie. But then once it's in, and it's just very uncomfortable because you feel like you need to pee all the time, but that is just draining you out. So even if you won't miss the bed. I was so afraid of, am I gonna pee here? What is gonna happen? But yeah, that didn't happen. So yeah, basically that was it. And then the catheter was in, and that was around I think 6 o'clock. And she told me everything's gonna be fine, just relax. And then they put like this they strap this like belt thing around you to monitor the baby's heartbeat, which is like a constant thing. It's strapped till you go into theater. So it was strapped in there, and then there was like something printing the heartbeat just to check if everything is okay with the baby. And then yeah, that was printing out, and I was just sitting there with my mom, and I was just so nervous, and like I was so hungry firstly because I'm so used to like eating. So yeah, I was very very hungry at that time, and it was around 6. Then around 6:30, the gynae came in, and he asked, and he's like, "Are you ready?" And then I'm like, "Yes, I am." Then he's like, "But April Fools are not really doing a C-section on you," and I'm like, "April Fools?" And then yeah, no, he was just making a joke, I think, just to make me feel a bit comfortable and a bit more lighter and not so stressed out. So yeah, he said April Fools and whatever, and then he was just making a joke with me, and then he laughed, and then he said he'll see me just now, and I said okay. Then the anesthesiologist came in, and came to greet me and tell me about the process, and I had to sign a form knowing that I'm aware of what's going to be happening and the process of the injection and whatever. And I filled that form in and I signed, and he told me he'll see me in there. So they were going into theater, and then it was around 6:30 or so. I think that the nurses came in and the assistants, and they came in and then they wheeled me out and they were like, okay, are you ready? Let's go and have this baby. And I'm like, oh my word. So it was 6:30. And keep in mind, now, I didn't know what time I'm going in to have the C-section, because they say they only get the list in the morning of how many people are going into theater and who's at what time. So I didn't even tell the baby's dad like what time I'm going. I just told him I'm going in at 5, and then you can come at, like, he said he's gonna come around 8 in the morning, and then he'll be there for the whole day until, like, I give birth. So I thought it was gonna be like in the afternoon or something, but it happened so early. By 6:30 I was in, and then I think they did. I think they checked my heart rate and whatever, blood pressure once again. And then she's like, welcome to theater. And it's just such a cold room. Like, it seemed like a butchery. Yeah, it was just like a cold room with steel things all over. And then I was shivering because they didn't allow my mom in yet. They said not yet, because I think they wanted to give me they wanted to do the injection, and then obviously, then call her in. They didn't want her to see that part. So I get in and I'm sitting there on the bed, and then they say put your legs on this chair, and then you sit, like, you hug. I was hugging the nurse, and then you lean forward, and then they basically the anesthesiologist was behind me, and he put like this warm, seemed like a warm gel or something on my back, or it seemed like warm water, not sure what it was now, can't remember. And he wiped it, and then he was like pressing the bone in the middle of my spine, and he's like, okay, this is where I'm gonna inject you. You'll feel a slight pinch, but it's gonna be over now. And at this time, my body is shaking, and it's like I can't control it. It was like I was trying to be brave, but it's just I was just trying to be brave, but I just felt like shivers. It was just a natural thing, I think, to just feel a whole lot of shivering and just like anxiousness and all of that stuff. So yeah, I just felt that, and then I was like, okay, this is gonna happen now. And I was leaning over, and she was hugging me, and she was rubbing my hand, and she was very comforting. It was a very lovely lady. And then he said, okay, it's gonna happen, 3, 2, 1, and then he injected my spine. Honestly, it was a very slight pinch. You must not move when that happens, because then you will feel pain, or I think it damages your nerve actually if you like wriggle and you're like all over. So you need to be still, and you need to be in one position and just hug the nurse, or hug a pillow, or do something, lean on somebody if you have your partner there. But they didn't allow my mom in at that time, so I don't think you'll have your partner in at that time. Yeah, but then you just hug the nurse, and then yeah, it just happened. It was done, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Within seconds, my whole body, they just put me down. They said lay flat quickly. Then they moved me, like two people had to roll me onto the next the other bed. I think that's the steel one with like a cushion or something, where they're gonna do the C-section. So they basically rolled me over onto that, and then I felt numb immediately. It was within seconds that I was numb. I was so shocked myself. I couldn't feel anything. The Then they put like the sheet thing on top here, and the anesthesiologist told me that I will feel a bit of pulling, tugging, like they pulling you apart and whatever, like someone is like pulling your hand or something. But you can't. It's not painful, but you can feel the movement happening. You can feel a movement, but it's not going to be painful where you're like going to be in excruciating pain. It's painless. You feel absolutely nothing. So they just put the little sheet there, and then they were busy. I saw that they stick the sheet. It's like a clear plastic that goes on there, and then the lady was rubbing like a gel all over my from my tummy down to my thighs. She rubbed like a gel all over. The gynecologist assistant was doing that, and then yeah, there was just like so many people in the room. There's literally like 10 people in the room. And then the mistake I made was, so when you're doing a C-section, they have those big lights, like, or any op or whatever, like when you go to the dentist as well, they have a huge light, and it's like silver around it and has like mini downlights inside. So basically that was pointed there, and I was just looking up, and when I looked up I saw that the whole silver part, you could see what was going on. I could actually see the operation happening, and maybe I shouldn't have looked, but I did look, and I was very inquisitive to see what's going on. So I just looked and I thought, okay, maybe they're still rubbing me with that gel. And when I looked up I saw that already everything is cut open and you could see my whole insides, and I was like, oh my god, it literally looks like pork belly just cut, like the layers and layers and layers. I just saw layers and I was like, oh my god. And at that time my mom was changing into scrubs to come in, and then the nurse assisted her in, the other nurse assisted her in, and she saw it. She saw me as well because she was in front walking and trying to come and sit by me. She was sitting on my side, and then she was just there and she was like talking to me, and I was like, well, everything is happening so quick. And this was like already by I think 10 to 7 or 5 to 7 or something. And yeah, I was looking at that the top to see how they're cutting me, and I saw everything, and I saw them taking him out of the bag and popping it, and then they just lifted him up and showed him to me, and she's like, yes, it's Poppy. And then I was just smiling. I never cried. It was so weird. I was just smiling. I was so happy. And the doctor cut his cord really quick. And then the next thing, the pediatrician took over and they called my mom to video that. And she did take a video. I just don't have it. I can't insert it here. But yeah, she took the video, and then they basically pushed pipes and stuff down his throat. And then um, the pediatrician was busy with him, and then I was still looking straight. My mom was with them and I was still looking straight ahead and looking at how they were stitching me, and it was just really weird. It was like that whole process happened in like 10 minutes. I would honestly say, like, this whole thing, the baby was born at 7:05, so it was really early, and it was so quick, and it was so like painless, so it was amazing. um yeah, and then I just saw them stitching me back. It was like you were just like a needle and cotton, and he was just like doing that, and it was just like going in, and it was so weird. It was so weird to like actually see. But I got used to it, and I was like, okay, like I just have to accept the fact that I'm gonna have this forever, and it's like my birth story, and when I look at this line I'm gonna think about it, whatever. And then they were done, and then they just put a bandage, and then they put the suppository up, and then yeah, they wiped me up, cleaned me up, took out that plastic, pulled that dress back down, rolled me onto the other bed, and said that I should feel nothing for like 4 or 5 hours, and then the anesthetic will wear off. So yeah, they wheeled me back into the room, and then no, they actually didn't. After that, they wheeled me into another room, and my mom was with the baby. She went with him to the nursery, and the pediatrician said the baby is fine and he's beautiful and whatever. And they were with him there. I think that's when they check his stuff, and they put him in that incubator and like all of those things. And then I was in this other room. I think the guy was just saying he's gonna test my blood pressure and just see if everything is fine, if I'm gonna recover. Just checking if everything is right, like my sugar levels and whatever is okay. So that was it. And then I went to I think I was there for about 10 minutes. He was monitoring my blood pressure and my heart rate and whatever. And then I went to, they wheeled me about, yeah, 10 minutes later to my ward. When I got there, no one was there. They put me on the bed, whatever. I was sitting there, and then my mom came with the baby. They pushed the baby in around maybe 7:30 or something. And then as soon as they pushed him in, I was like so excited to see him. Oh, and I forgot to mention that they also, as soon as they cut the cord, they put the baby on your chest to get like skin to skin contact. Sorry. Yeah, and then they came in, and it was so weird, like seeing him and like knowing that, oh my god, this whole human was inside of me like a few hours ago, and like now he's here. And he had no clothes on. He just had a nappy, and then they put him on my chest, and then they said he needs to just have that skin to skin, like how he just had to lay flat on me. And then I was just laying flat, and then he was just there for like an hour or so. And then his dad came running in, and he was looking for me. And then the nurse said, Mr. Naidu, because he said he's looking for me and whatever, and they said, no, Mr. Naidu is already inside and your baby is born. And he was so panicked, and he just ran in, and he just opened the door, and he saw me. And yeah, it was just, he was so excited to see the baby. So that was like, so it was just such a nice moment. Yeah, and then he took the baby off from me, and then we obviously changed him and stuff and just got him ready. Yeah, so we just got the baby ready. After that, we put some clothes on for him and stuff, and I was laying in bed. I still felt a bit of pain. Um, like not pain, sorry, I felt nothing, and I was just really hungry. And then they told me, then I'm like, oh, so when can I eat now? When the nurse came in, and then she's like, no, you have to wait for a bit. You have to keep the catheter on, and then you can eat around 5 p.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so I didn't eat from 10 o'clock on Monday, and it's not Tuesday, and I must wait till 5 p.m. to eat. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna have? I think because they had, because of the catheter, if you eat, maybe they didn't want you to, like, go out. So, yeah, I didn't end up eating, and then they came in, removed the catheter around, I think, 4 o'clock, and then they just change you, and it's like so weird. They put a dress, they just change you because they took out that dress, and they put a pad on for me and disposable underwear and whatever, and yeah, that was it. They come and change you and teach you, and then after that was out, I felt normal. The catheter, once it was out, it was much more comfortable, and I felt a bit better. And then I think that same night I had a hot shower, and then the physiotherapist came to me around 6 o'clock or so, and then told me that I need to walk. He showed me how to wake up, like using your elbows and upper body strength. Sorry, not sure what happened there, it got cut. Like I said, upper body strength was very important to have, and it was like zero upper body strength that I had. So I had to basically, you lift the bed up, and then you got to use your elbows to lift your top body up, and your legs are also like quite swollen and whatever, so you got to try and put them down one by one, and then waking up, like where your stomach has to, like, actually in your back, and oh yeah, that was very uncomfortable, but he told me how to do it and how to wake up, and they assist you. And then he said, okay, we're gonna walk down the hall and back, and down the hall and back again. And he was talking to me, and just telling me what to do and how to wake up, and all of those things. And then I went, walked down with him, came back up, and went down and came back up, and it was okay the first five. Okay, sorry. As I was recording, I needed to delete some stuff because I was running out of space. Is this thing even straight now? Jeez. Okay, sorry if the angle changed. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, the physiotherapist, like I said, helped a lot, and then they also come back the next day. But that was the first day that that happened, and then I felt okay, and I was in bed, and yeah, the nurses, they tell you to see to your child, and you have to like feed them and do everything for them, eh? So even changing nappies and stuff after 8, when everyone left, I was completely alone with him. They just bring you the milk, and then you gotta wake them up, you gotta change them, you gotta throw away the dirty nappy, and then sit down, carry them, and feed them, and burp them, and everything while you have that operation done. So you gotta be really strong. If you cannot make it, you can obviously call a nurse, but they encourage you to do it yourself. Um, but yeah, just like a bonding thing, I think. So that's basically what happened. And then I think that's about it. I hope I didn't leave out anything, but that was my whole birthing experience. And also, I think the first time you actually go to the toilet and you pass out number two, it's actually the best feeling ever. It's a little bit uncomfortable going to the toilet, but I made sure that I asked them for oats and all bran in the morning, and then it actually made my poo process much more easier and much more it wasn't difficult for me, because when you have a C-section, remember, you cannot push. You need to like be very careful and like just be okay. So just try not to like push and force things and whatever, because you've had literally so many layers cut and stuff, and it does really pain. So I'm glad that when I went to the toilet, I didn't really feel pain. I wasn't forcing myself, it just happened. And you feel so much more relieved, because then your bowels are moving, and you need to make sure that you go to the toilet before you leave the hospital. So I'm glad that I was very regular and I was going, and it really does help um, ease the pain, and you don't feel so bloated, and you don't feel very sore. So make sure that you definitely go to the toilet. And yeah, that was about it. That was the whole experience. I went a week later after baby was born to remove my stitches at my gynecologist. He is actually retiring this year, so I don't think I'll be seeing him again. Yeah, So I went to remove my stitches, and it was so easy. I went there and it literally took not even 2 minutes. He was just like snip, snip, snip. It was like I think 4 or 5 stitches. And when I got home, I looked at it and I'm like, there's no even line. I can't even see anything. The skin has joined. There's no mark. It's just like 3 or 4 dots that I can see, and it will obviously also disappear and go away. And then when I was leaving, I told him, thank you so much for being a part of my journey, and wish you all the best with your retirement. And I took my hand out and I wanted to shake his hand, and then he hugged me, and that was like so awkward. And I'm like, why did I even want to shake his hand? And he hugged me, and I'm like, obviously this man has literally saw everything of mine, so what's a hug, like, like, why would I want to be professional and shake his hand when this person literally saw my vagina? So yeah, that was it. He was such a lovely gynecologist, and I think old people know best. And I don't think he meant like to schedule a C-section, because, like I said, his price, cash price, was same whether it was natural or C-section. So yeah, I think he tried his best and he knew what's best for me and for my baby. And yeah, just grateful for the experience that I had, and happy to be home and healthy and recovering. And yeah, just very excited for this new journey of my life. So thank you guys for watching. I know this video may have been all over, and yeah, I'm just, the lighting and stuff is bad because I don't have my ring light. I was not going to connect that and stuff. I have a newborn. I have no time to be making sure everything is perfect right now. But yeah, hope you enjoy this video, and make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.